Shelly.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Hello, how are you? Today I will introduce you to someone I recently had the pleasure of talking with. His name is Braulio Rodriguez. That's him. He is currently an ESL student here at Clover Park. He was gracious enough to allow me some personal insight into his life in Mexico City, his birth home, and here in the United States. I will share with you a little about his family, his experiences here, and his long-term goals. Braulio was born in Mexico City.
RGB.
Which is Mexico City. He's 34 years old and grew up with 3 brothers and 1 sister. His father died when he was 14 years old. Braulio did not say much about this other than commenting that his father was a horrible alcoholic and a heavy drinker and just wasn't a very good role model. So he credits his mother for raising him, his 3 brothers, and his sister. He also credits his mother as far as pushing him to go to school and to learn, always pushing him learn English. It's very important to learn English. As well as his friends encouraging him to do that as well. Braulio is not married, nor does he have any children. He just let me know at this time that's not something that he's planning to do until he's finished with his education and his dreams of eventually becoming an English teacher. Braulio first lived in Fresno, California with friends for 3 years. This is actually LA. He lived in LA for 5 years where he worked at a car wash. He lived with friends. Braulio also lived in Philadelphia for 2 years. And then after Philadelphia, he went back to California for a year, he said. In 1999 is when he actually moved to Washington with the idea of working, saving money, and going back to Mexico. However, to complete the university there. However, he decided that so much time had gone by and kind of explained to me that it's easier for someone of his age to attend college here rather than in Mexico City is why he decided he was going to stay here and finish his schooling. Braulio actually has had kind of a colorful life. He was a cook. Many of you might recognize the names. He was a cook at Stanley and Seaports, as well as Shenanigans. He also did the oyster bar at Carter's in Seattle. I've never heard of that, but some of you may have. He has also worked at Comcast for 5 years doing installation until he was injured on the job, and has since been on L&I for the last 3 years. And that's when he made the decision to go back to school here. I guess they were going to train him, in other words, he's hoping to get his certification in graphic design. His goal here at Clover Park is to finish the math classes, of course, learn English, which is something that he really, really, really wants to do, and seems to be a huge goal in his life. And like I say, earn his graphic design certification. Braulio talked about a long-term goal that he has as far as wanting to go back to Mexico and teach English to the children there in the schools. And he said that he would love to be able to take computers with him that are in the English language, because the computers there are all Spanish. And that's just a dream he has to someday be able to do that. Braulio let me know that his life here is much easier than in Mexico City. Like I said, he stated that going to school at his age here is a lot easier than in Mexico City. There is much more opportunity here for him, he said. Simple things like clothing, which I thought was, he pointed to his socks, just saying, I can go to the store and buy a pair of socks, which I thought was, kind of blew my mind, like we take that for granted. Having his own car and not relying on the metro, which he told me he would spend hours on the metro, which is the transportation there that is. He said he would spend hours on the metro, sleeping, eating, studying. So to be here and have his own car and be able to go when he needs to. And he sometimes said he slept maybe 2 hours a night when he was working and going to school there and whatnot, which I found fascinating. So Braulio was really a very gracious person. At times it was somewhat difficult to understand, but he was so open with me and very gracious and very kind, and I really enjoyed getting to know him. I would like to conclude, although I didn't spend a lot of time with Mr. Rodriguez, he was open enough with me in the time I did that I appreciated talking to him, and I did learn a little bit about his background and his future plans. And like I said, it wasn't hard times to understand him, and so that led me to think about how he must have felt coming here and not speaking English and trying to understand what people were trying to say to him. So it kind of gave me a better understanding of that. And I really wish him and his family the very best, and I really hope that someday Braulio will fulfill his dream to go back to Mexico and teach English to the